and welcome to this edition of Under the Umbrella. I'm WDTN Plus meteorologist Melissa Barrington, and on this show we cover a variety of topics all relating to weather. And today we are talking to the Ohio Department of Transportation, and we are talking to two guests today. We are delighted today to have Mandi Dillon, who is the Southwestern Public Information Officer for District 7 and 8, and Loryn Bryson, who is the District 7 Public Information Officer. And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So can one of you start by telling me a little bit about what ODOT does and which counties you cover? Because I know, Mandi, you cover two sections, and then
Sure.
Loryn, you cover one section. So tell us a little bit about it.
Well, basically, our job is to maintain all of the state, U.S., and interstate routes. So we also plow snow on those routes as well. So we're out there, whether it's doing projects to add lanes or, maintaining things, adding guardrail, doing things like that, or, patching potholes and plowing snow. So we basically are in charge of, state, U.S., and interstate routes. That's kind of what we do. Now, as far as the counties that we handle, Loryn handles District 7. So there are 9 counties there. You've got Auglaize, Champaign, Clark, Darke, Miami, Montgomery, I think Shelby, what am I missing? Logan and Mercer. Mm-hmm. And then, District 8 covers more of the Cincinnati area. And we've got, several counties down there as well.
Okay, so we're going into the winter season, of course, and everybody's getting ready for winter. So ODOT uses both liquid or brine and salt. What are the parameters, the weather parameters, to use one over the other? Like, when do you use salt? When do you use brine? What do you do?
Well, it just kind of depends on the storm. Every storm is unique, and so it's going to depend on temperatures and also how the storm is coming in. If the storm is coming in as rain, we can't really do a lot of pre-treating as far as putting that brine down on the road, and that's where people will see the white lines that look like striping on the roads. That's the brine. Basically, brine is a mixture of salt and water that we spray down on the roads. Now, as the storm continues, if the temperatures are extremely cold, we can add in some agricultural de-icer or beet juice. And that typically happens around the 25-degree mark. And then depending on how cold it gets, they will change the percentage on those solutions to have a little bit more or a little bit less. And then, of course, we've got salt that we use to fight against, the snow and ice sticking. So, all of those are tools that we have in our toolbox.
So how many snowplow drivers do you guys have, and do you still need drivers for this season? I know last year you guys were like begging for drivers. So what's the status this year?
Yeah, so we still will need drivers this year. So we are actively adding them. You'll see our postings up for seasonal drivers. If you have a CDL, we are still looking for seasonal drivers. We have 151 trucks here in District 7. So like Mandi mentioned, that's from Auglaize County, like Wapakoneta, all the way down here to Montgomery County and Dayton, and the Darke County out to Bell Fountain, Logan County areas. So we are still looking for drivers. We typically have a little over 200 plus drivers that we use throughout the season. And that way, we are on the road in those events 24/7. We run those 12 to 16-hour shifts, depending on how those storms do roll in.
How many miles of roadway do you cover? That sounds like a lot.
Yeah. So there's a difference between what is a lane mile versus like what is actual mileage. So when we talk about lane miles, we talk about the kind of the difference there of those lane miles are north and south. So if you've got like 75, for example, let's, for easy math's sake, Montgomery County is around 20-ish miles north to south. But Montgomery County 75 has anywhere from 3 to 4 lanes. So you multiply that. And so then you have kind of what is your lane miles versus your like actual mileages that we're covering does get a little different. So we do have, I think, around 1,300 lane miles that we cover. So a plow truck driver in a 12-hour shift could run 300 miles and only do a certain section of, say, like 70 on a 12-hour shift. They could run a 300 miles in that, but they are doing nothing but running basically the Montgomery County line 275 back and forth for 300 miles.
Wow, that's a lot of driving, going over the
is.
same place time and time again.
Yes.
So, tell me a little bit about the snowplows and what the technology is on them. Like, do you have cameras? Can you see road temperature? Do you talk to your snowplow drivers while they're out there to find out what conditions are like when the snow or the ice or if it's rain? You know, what are they telling you any of that?
Yeah.
I'll let you go ahead.
So they do. So a couple of things. There's a lot of things that go on inside a snowplow. And so right now, where I was actually earlier today, we were doing one of our winter readiness operations checks. So each snowplow, like I said, we have 151 trucks here in District 7. And so each one of those trucks has a 150-point check that we go through prior to our snow and ice seasons. Obviously, the temperatures are dropping, so we are trying to get these in before those temperatures really do drop, before those freezing points. And so as we work through those, there's a lot of hydraulics that go into those trucks, especially when they are outfitted for the winter season. So those trucks are universal. They are the summertime dump trucks, and they are also our wintertime plow trucks. And so when we go through and we do outfit those in the wintertime, we're putting on those wing plows. We're putting on those big front plows. We're making sure that the hydraulics in the back work so the bed of the truck can lift as we need that that salt to move down, and that way it's hitting the road, and it's got hydraulics for all of those components to operate. And so when you get in there, there's a lot of mechanics that go on. There's a lot of buttons, there's a lot of lights, there's a lot of those things that are going on. So plow truck drivers are doing a lot of things inside the cab, but they're also trying to make sure that they're paying attention to what goes on outside of that cab. And so there is a lot of components. It is super complex. It is its own kind of organism in and outside those trucks and its surrounding areas.
So, how much salt do you guys go through in an average season, and have you ever run out of salt?
It all depends on the winter. We're always trying to kind of have that crystal ball to know exactly what we're going to need. There have been extremely harsh winters where we've had to fill back up or, try and get salt from, somewhere else. But typically we are pretty good at, knowing how much we're going to need. I don't know exactly. Loryn, do you know exactly how much salt we go through? It just kind of depends. I think it depends on the winter. Sometimes we have one that doesn't require much at all. And then the next year we may get hit with a ton of snow and really cold temperatures. So it's kind of hard to say. It just depends.
So let's talk about black ice.
Yes.
Black ice is really tricky, and you don't need a storm to have that happen. It can just form due to frost. It can form due to rain being left over, flash freezing with temperatures dropping and the rain, if we had rain that came down. So how do you deal with that? I mean, I've seen bridges and overpasses that seem like that there's certain locations around town that there's certain places that they're more likely to get caught with the black ice.
Bridges, ramps, and overpasses definitely are the first, and the reason being there's nothing really underneath them. A lot of times when we have weather come in, the actual ground temperature is warmer than what is in the sky and what is coming down. So if you have a structure like a ramp, an overpass, a bridge that doesn't have that ground right underneath it and the wind can blow underneath it, it's going to cool off a lot faster. So we do see more ice build up on those structures. Black ice is tricky because it's transparent, so it's hard to see. And a lot of times, we do our best to get out and pre-treat if we think there is the chance for that. That way, if we can get that brine down on the pavement ahead of time, maybe that ice won't stick and it won't form. But we just always want drivers to make sure that they're, using their winter driving skills and paying attention.
Yes, paying attention, especially those early mornings going off to work and then coming home from work. Is black ice worse than having snow, or is snow worse because sometimes you can't keep up with it?
I think, honestly, I think snow is a little bit easier. Black ice is worse. Ice is typically more difficult. With snow, you can at least get a little bit of traction, even, on the snow. And also we can plow the snow off. Sometimes, depending again on the storm, if it's very windy, it blows right back on. But when you have ice, you have yet another component there under the snow. So if someone's on snow-covered road, but there's black ice underneath, it's going to be extremely slick, even though they don't know that. So you can get some traction from the snow, and you can plow the snow off a little more easily than you can the ice.
So do you guys have any tips for drivers when they see a snowplow out, when they're out treating the roads or clearing the roads? What would you like to get across to folks here?
I think we just, we say it and say it, but the reason we keep repeating it is because it's important. We want people to make sure they're giving our plows space to do the work that they need to get done. A lot of times people feel safe getting right behind that plow, and there's a lot going on behind that plow. There's a whole lot happening, and so we want to make sure that people are giving them some room, stay back a little bit, let them clear the way, and just make sure that you're slowing down and paying attention. Our plows are not going to be moving fast, but they are going to do their job and try and get those roads as clear as possible. So we just need drivers to kind of be patient, give them some space, and let them clear the roads.
Do the snowplows typically go slower than the posted speed limit?
Yes. Yeah.
By far. And so we actually have a really neat piece of technology that actually took off last year. So if you are using a GPS system like Waze, where we are out on a plow route and our trucks are coming through, we're under 35 miles an hour, we have our lights on and our plows are down, we actually have an ODOT plow truck that will show up on Waze, similar to emergency services. It just helps us increase our level of visibility to the public to let you guys know that we are out there, we are on the roads, and just helping raise that level of awareness for drivers, not only saying, hey, we're out here doing our job like we said we will, but also, hey, give us a little bit of room. You see us up ahead or we're close to you, and give us that space and help us help you get home safely and make those roads a little bit more passable when that weather event does happen.
Wow, that's some amazing technology. We are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to continue our conversation on Under the Umbrella. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Under the Umbrella. Today's topic is we are talking to ODOT, and we are talking to Mandi Dillon and Loryn Bryson. Both of them are PIOs, or Public Information Officers. Mandi is the regional one, and Loryn is the district one for District 7. And so we want to talk a little bit about OGO. Not everybody may know what that is or what I'm even saying there. It's tell us a little bit about what this is. It's a website that you guys have, and tell us how it can help travelers.
It's actually a great tool. And, we're always trying to remind people that it exists, that it's out there. It's ogo.com. And it has all kinds of different aspects of it that people can use to kind of plan their trip or check on the traffic before they go. It includes weather conditions, road conditions. It's going to let you know if there's any closures. It's going to give you real minute by minute travel time, so you'll know that. And then also there's cameras, and that lets you see firsthand what's going on out there with the weather in real time. So it's just a great tool that people can use before they get behind the wheel to let them know if their route is detoured at all, what the conditions are, especially in the winter. It can let them know, how fast things are going. They can pull up that camera and see if the road is snow covered or if it's been plowed. So it has a lot of great aspects to it.
I will say, as a meteorologist, I use this all the time, especially in the wintertime, even with the rain and stuff. But still, like during the wintertime, it's amazing to be able to see where is the snow. Where is it not? What do the roads look like before I head out? Are they snow covered? Because before I report to tell people, a lot of times I'll be like, oh, this one is snow covered. Don't go that way. Go a different way. So I find it myself personally very helpful. So I really enjoy it.
We like to hear that. That's good.
So we're not only just talking about winter season. Let's talk about some of the main projects that ODOT has going on in and around the region.
Okay, Loryn, I'll let you kind of take
that's my wheelhouse. So real quick, just to touch on it, OGO does actually show those construction projects. And so
yes, it does. You're right.
You can toggle those to what are current and future projects. So you can see not only what's going on right now, but you are able to kind of add, we call it toggling, or like adding and subtracting those layers, where you're able to see anything that's coming up in the future that may impact your travel. So we want to help keep that level of transparency, especially when it comes to those construction barrels. Even if we are kind of phasing out right now, it doesn't mean all of our construction is going away throughout the winter.
So we've had quite a good stretch of weather like this fall. I mean, it has been phenomenal, like very little rain. I know it's raining out today, but even despite that, does this help get any of the projects done earlier?
It gives us a longer construction season. And so we try to make gains where we can when the weather does offer those a little bit longer, especially in the fall. Asphalt plants are only open for so many months out of a season because they do require certain weather temperatures to be able to create that asphalt and have that asphalt. It's got to be at a certain temperature when we put it down. It has to be maintained. And so we do have to work within not only like weather conditions like rain, but that temperature really does become a bigger factor when we have those kind of earlier spring days when it's still pretty cool. And right now we're at the end of October and we're seeing those cooler days where we would be able to do some of these operations throughout the night. We're having to switch those over to daytime. So we do see a little bit of a shift there in how it does impact travel times, because we are trying to get as much done as we can in this construction season.
So that leads me directly to the next question, and you can probably guess. And let's get a briefing on potholes. I mean, it happens every single year. What causes them? Why can't they get fixed until late spring? I know you mentioned the temperature. Yeah. So, like, what's your temperature threshold, and what can drivers do about them? You know, do they need to report them to you? Like, sometimes they get really large, you know, and you can blow out your tire, for example.
Yes.
So let's get a briefing.
Yes. So potholes, we live in the Midwest, right? We have a freeze-thaw cycle, and man, are we seeing it right now. So we are getting ready to go into that freeze-thaw cycle, and so water's going to get down. Asphalt has some like air pockets in it that allows it to kind of like contrast and be able to kind of breathe throughout the year, right? And so those air pockets form, but when it rains or when snow melts, what have you, that gets into those air pockets, right? That liquid does. And then when it freezes, it expands. And that freeze and thaw causes those air pockets to kind of get bigger and bigger to the point to where the asphalt actually will collapse. And so we see that little bit there, and that's what causes a pothole. It takes up space, and then that pothole forms. And so that's how you get a pothole. Why we can't fill it right now, we can patch it, right? We can give it a Band-Aid. And so we use a winter mix, we call it cold patch, where it really just gets us through to, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, where we need to be able to get to a point where those asphalt plants reopen. And that does require those temperature minimums before those plants open. ODOT doesn't make our own asphalt. We do have to go out, and it's through a contract. We've got to go out and purchase it. And so we have to abide by when those contractors are making and are available. So we will make a more permanent fix once we do get to those springtime temperatures.
So just curious, I don't know if you know this answer or not, but do you guys keep track of how many potholes you fill per season?
We do.
You do?
We do. And okay. It is substantial.
I'm sure it's staggering. Like, what's the average on a year?
Ooh, that Matt Bruning, I'm gonna mention his name in this. And okay. He's kind of the keeper of the pothole statistics. We could probably give you what last year's was, but we do try to get out there when the public does report them. We have the ability, if you know, whether you want to call us or just reach us on our website, there is a place to report them. We are a pretty big organization, but we are not everywhere at one time. And so we do ask for the public's help because we don't see everything. And so if you do see a pothole and it is, you know, starting to form, let us know. That way we can dispatch our crews and get that addressed. That way we can make sure it's taken care of quickly and efficiently.
And in the summertime, you almost get the opposite. You get like a sinkhole sometimes, and you cover those too, I assume, right?
Yeah, extreme heat also affects pavement. So when we do see those like crazy upward, very high temperatures, it also impacts the pavement and can cause other issues. Not quite potholes, but it does have a similar effect on what it does to the pavement.
Okay, so I was snooping around on your website, kind of digging through stuff here. So I ran across something here called the roadway defects and damage claims. Can someone explain what that is to me? I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, so that's actually going to be where, if say something does happen to your vehicle, say you hit a pothole, you damage a tire, that's going to be the place where we're going to direct you. It's going to connect you with our kind of claims coordinator within districts or within our central office team. It's a place where the public's able to directly connect with the Ohio Department of Transportation and help get that ball rolling and how to take care of those claims. It's going to ask for, information, where you were, locations, such, and that way we can help get that ball rolling to help figure out how and who is going to be responsible for what damages may have been caused.
Mandi, do you find that drivers are more prone to have pothole issues or claims during the winter months versus other times of the year, or is it more like in the spring?
Really, it's more in the spring. What we see a lot of is as soon as that winter snow is gone and we're seeing more of the thaw process, as soon as Loryn said, the water gets in there, it freezes, it thaws, it freezes, it thaws. And then as soon as the cars start hitting that area, we see things crumbling and some asphalt coming out. So typically it's in the spring, early spring, that we start seeing really a lot of people saying, hey, there's a pothole here and there. And as she mentioned, we do what we can. We get out there as soon as possible with the cold patch. And then as soon as all of the asphalt plants are up and running, we do a more permanent solution.
So is there like another type of situation other than potholes where folks may be dealing with damage at all on the roadways?
There are several different things, if someone's out, say we are painting, or if they get some spray on their car, or, if they go through a work zone and there's some type of damage, there are some other situations where people sometimes will say, hey, I think this resulted in some damage.
Okay. So let's talk about workers. You have lots of workers out on the road year round, whether they're in a snowplow or working on the roadways. Let's go ahead and reiterate how to keep workers safe, how to keep drivers safe on the roads and navigating through all the construction. Give us some tips and what you would like to tell people.
Well, we always want to remind people that, our employees are working out on the roadside. That's really their office for the day. So it's very similar to if you have an office with a desk, can you imagine someone driving 65 miles per hour just inches away from your desk? It would be a lot to take in. So we want to remind everyone to obey the laws, pay attention. The first thing is just don't drive distracted. Put the phones down, make sure that you're looking forward, you're focused on the road, and stay alert. When you're coming up on a work zone, a lot of times your normal traffic pattern is different because it is a work zone. So you may have to make a quick, change of lane, or all types of things can come up as you're coming up on those orange barrels. And you have to remember, other people also aren't going to be familiar with those work zones, so they could be moving differently as well. So it's important to keep enough distance between you and the car ahead of you, and also just slow down and pay attention. We want to keep the traveling public safe, but we also want to make sure that our workers and any of the workers for our contractors are going home to their families at the end of the night.
Yeah, and that can really be difficult at night. Like folks can't see as well. You see the orange barrels, and all of a sudden you have to swing over, and you have to kind of slow down to see, like, where am I going? Definitely can be a little bit tricky. Well, I would like to thank both of you for joining me today on Under the Umbrella. I'm glad you were able to spend some time with me. And thank you for joining us as well. And until next time, if you have an idea for another topic, be sure to email me at undertheumbrella@wdtn.com. Have a great night. Thank you.